Okie dokie. So if you are a follower or whatever, whatever YouTube calls them, um, then you will have gotten a notification. So technically, I shouldn't really have to tweet it when I live stream. But what I'm doing right now is I got a few things that are of interest today. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my YouTube channel just so I can make sure that things are behaving as advertised. And then what we see here on the screen is the character sheet for Kari that I did earlier today. So today I was working in Blender, and by the way, if you're wondering about the sunglasses, it's not because I'm trying to be cool like Fonzie. It is because I am trying to take good care of my eyes. About 2 days ago, they were getting a little red from all the exposure, and doing much better now thanks to not only the sunglasses but some other therapeutic technologies that I probably should talk about on a different day and maybe even a different YouTube channel. But anyway, geez, should I say something about this? Okay, I'm gonna say something about this because it's important to me. Let's just say that in my life, I have seen situations where people deal with a fair amount of pain or inflammation, stuff like that. Okay. And there are a lot of health and nutrition gurus and this sort of thing out there on the internet, on YouTube, yada, yada, yada. Some of it's good stuff, but most of it, there's a little bit of value to it, but you can dismiss most of it. Okay? That'd be a good way of putting it. But every once in a while, you come across something that you go, wait a second, this is kind of making not only scientific sense, but it makes intuitive sense, and there's a lot of studies, clinical studies, double-blind studies, things like that. So anyway, what I'm getting at is this girl here, Dr. Laura Conover, is kind of, as far as I know, there might be others, but she's kind of the one on YouTube that's talking about this thing called earthing, which basically means being grounded. So 2 ways to do it: go out barefoot and walk on the grass, you're grounded. Or there's devices you can get that plug into the ground plug in your wall, like our electrical receptacle, but it's just the ground plug, and then it goes to like a pillowcase or a sheet or something like that. So you might think this is voodoo, but it's not. Here's the deal. In your body, one of the things you hear a lot of talk about, and by the way, I'm only going to take like 2 minutes on this, and then I'm going to get back to animation, okay? But there's something that you hear a lot about in health circles called free radicals. Well, what's a free radical? 7? Okay, I think we're back. Okay, so a free radical is a molecule that has a missing electron, and it wants to get the electrons back in balance by filling in that one gap in the molecule where an electron's missing. That's the reason free radicals are bad for you, is that molecule will grab an electron from another molecule, and in doing so, it does damage to that other molecule. So there's a lot of other issues involved than just this simple mention of free radicals, but it's one example of why this whole thing of grounding or earthing is actually a thing. Because when you're grounded, when you're attached to the earth, essentially you have a limitless flow of free electrons from the earth that flow into your body, and when these free electrons become available, they can attach to those free radical molecules, and they can then not do damage to other cells in your body. So, okay. So that's just one example about this thing that they call earthing or grounding. But Laura Conover is the one on YouTube that I've found who seems to be kind of the guru of earthing. And I won't go any further. There's a lot more I could say, but the upshot is that every single thing that happens in your atoms or your molecules your body, is at its most basic elemental level, at the atomic level, it is electrical. It is about the transfer of charge, and charge being the conduit through which cells are able to do what they do. Okay, it's way more complicated than that, but to a layman, that's kind of sort of how it works. We are electrical creatures. And as I said, it's been studied to death. If you're having trouble sleeping, get grounded. You'll probably, maybe not, but you'll probably find you sleep better. Okay? Again, there's a lot more I could say, but anyway, I don't even remember why I mentioned that. Oh, the eyes. Yeah, the eyes. So anyway, back to animation. Okay, so my tip, my health tip for the day is that try grounding or earthing. Just try it. It's free to try. Take a barefoot walk outside and you're doing it. And if you experience some benefits, because it's been, like I said, it's been studied to death. It's proven clinically to reduce inflammation, and inflammation is the source of almost virtually all chronic disease. I mean, it boosts your immune system. It's really an amazing thing. So anyway, enough of that. We don't want to get sidetracked. I can start another YouTube channel if I want to. But anyway, today I was using Blender to create character sheets for Akari, because as we progress through the animation in Opentoonz, what I found was, as I explained earlier today, but I'll just recap really fast, the main mindset behind the work I've been doing in Opentoonz is just to do the work, to get through a scene with several shots as an animation project, you know, of a finished professional quality, and just get through that workflow. So in getting close to the end of that, it came up that, well, actually, technically, the design that I drew of Akari really isn't quite who she is. I mean, that's not really how she's supposed to look. So it's like, okay, let's go into Opentoonz and start tweaking some things, and let's get her to where she needs to be. So that's already been done in the last few days. But part of the process for me is I wanted to go ahead and say, all right, let's do like real animation studios do, and let's create character sheets where we really suss out the geometry of these characters. In other words, the distance from her chin to her nose, and the distance between her eyes, and how things are positioned, and how her hair looks. Let's get specific about that. So that's what I did today, and then I used Blender just because you can with the grease pencil, you know, you can do this, okay? You can stretch and pull things around and rotate them, and you know, so it's really easy to massage a design and tweak it. Once I kind of had the relationships correct in this front view, then it was the challenge of creating the 3/4 and the side view, and you know, obviously looking up, looking down. So, and believe me, it is challenging to draw a character in different poses and have it really look like the same person is not easy. It takes a lot of practice. So anyway, so I did that. So now what are we going to do? Well, before I do what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and quit that, because this is going to take place in Opentoonz. I want to say, I have to say a word about Krita and GIMP 2.10, okay? GIMP has always been pretty performant. The 2.8 version of GIMP is very performant. I can load up very large, like the kind of Photoshop files that we'll exchange with clients and vendors when we're dealing with big kinds of graphics, like movie posters, stuff that is, you know, thousands and thousands of pixels wide and tall. So Krita consistently pukes on that kind of stuff, and it's been disappointing because Krita has animation, right? What I'm finding is at every turn, Krita bogs down, chokes. You know, it's just not even close to being a professional tool, frankly, in my opinion. Now, it is for painting. If you're painting backgrounds, or if you're doing sketching, and I mean, for painting it's fine. But once you get into either really large files or animation, it falls apart. Doesn't tend to crash that much, to be honest. Frankly, Opentoonz crashes more. But with Opentoonz, if you're saving regularly, you, even if it crashes, you can get your work back for the most part. You know, it doesn't really bite you in the butt, right? Krita, it's just obnoxious. Like, I'll have an animation with maybe 3 layers and 20 frames or something, and just hitting the arrow keys to go back to the previous frame. I actually created a video and I deleted it because I was so disparaging of Krita. But it's like, you know, it's like I'd go to the previous frame and, you know, go have a sandwich. Well, Krita figures out what it's supposed to show you. You know, nothing like real time, not even close. So I'm like, okay. So Krita is like this amazing program where every single thing it does, one of the other programs I use does better. So like if it's coming down to painting and large files, it does pretty good, but GIMP does better. When it comes to animation, you know, it's okay, but Opentoonz is better. Every single thing it does, somebody else seems to do better. So I'm actually at the point of saying, you know what, unfortunately, Krita is kind of off my list of tools that I'm going to use. Now the kicker today was what I'm going to open right now is this. I went ahead and downloaded the portable GIMP 2.10 because I've been using 2.8 forever, and of course they updated the interface so it looks more like Krita and it looks more like a modern program. It's got this dark motif to it and flat icons and all the rest. But bottom line is it's extremely performant. Extremely performant. You want to talk about paint and interactivity. Let's just create an image. Let's go new 1920 minutes. So I'm just showing you what it feels like. Okay, so let's grab a brush. Of course it's so small right now you can't see it, but okay, so this has got a bunch of jitter on it, but so I'm gonna go ahead and take the jitter off. So it's just a plain old simple brush. But you can see it's not like it's lagging, maybe a fraction of a microsecond, but trust me, compared to Krita, it's night and day. It's no contest. And if you really want to suffer, if you want to put yourself through misery, you could actually take an image in GIMP and create a bunch of layers, like you might do in my paint, right? Just create a bunch of layers, and then GIMP does actually give you the ability to play back those layers as an animation at 24 frames a second. So if you really wanted to use it for sketching, you could, but I mean honestly there's no compelling reason to. But for painting and dealing with large files and all the rest, you know, animated brushes, things like that, GIMP is really quite the bomb. Okay, so now we're back to Opentoonz, and man, I'm already 13 minutes into this. So sorry if you're one of those people who doesn't, you know, want to have to wait, because I'm one of those people, and I'd be like, so sorry if I'm really irritated right now. Hey Oscar, how you doing? I haven't emailed you yet. I know that. I haven't emailed you. I agree with you on the brush. The brush user interface, I don't mind. The only thing that bugs me a little bit, this is where Krita is nice, is you can hit shift drag and make your brush larger or smaller. With GIMP, you still have to hit the bracket keys. Now, I'm guessing I can probably go in and change that manually, but I don't know that I can. So, anyway, sorry I'm late to the game here to see your comments. Yes, correct. I didn't do a full body. I'm gonna get to the anatomy, but basically, I think we're pretty confident on her anatomy in terms of what that's gonna be. It was really her face that was that was being problematic. So, but no, I definitely I wanna turn you loose on. I don't even know what character, but I'm going to find, we're in the process of sort of getting our workflow figured out as far as how we organize our files and our character sheets and our animation data and all that. So, but what I plan to do is take one of the other characters, not Akari, but one of the other ones, and send it to you and say, hey, give me a full spin around on this character. Let me see what you can do, kind of thing, you know, and we'll just see how that goes. So, maybe sometime this week is kind of what I'm thinking. So anyway, I appreciate you making yourself available for that, by the way. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to save this project. This is going to be, let's just save all. And there's the one we've been working on lately, but I'm going to call this the Akari character sheet. Okay, so my objective here, I've been sort of getting acquainted with the Toonz vector levels, and the more I look at it, I gotta say I'm more impressed. The biggest thing is there's one big plus and there's one big minus. The plus is when you're doing inking. Well, actually, there's a couple pluses. When you're doing inking, you've got snapping, which is awesome because it's really easy to close shapes. And when you're doing filling in the vector levels, you have a gap factor, so you can set the gap really wide so that even if it's not completely snapped to a close shape, it'll still fill, which is really nice. You don't have the gap thing in a Toonz raster level. So, and I wish I could show you right now, but I'm not going to waste time trying to recreate it. But I was really, really impressed with. I'm reading your message here, Oscar. Cool. Yeah, sounds good. You're sort of on the same track we're on. We're doing the anime thing. You're doing, the shorts and games and all the rest, and it's awesome. So what I want to do here is use the Toonz vector level to go ahead and ink these drawings so that we have a scalable model for each of these poses that ostensibly I would assume we'll be able to drag into another scene later and leverage this work that's been done. Experience does say that you won't get as much leverage out of it as you hope, but on the other hand, the purpose of the exercise is to, sort of exercise this workflow concept. So I'm going to hit Alt-N, and we're going to create a Toonz vector level. And I never give these a name, but I'm going to do it this time. Akari Scalable. Let's call it that, for lack of a better idea. Doesn't exist? Yeah, create it. Okay, so now I better hit save all. I'm really into like saving early and saving often. Okay, so let's ink. Now, one thing I've been finding with the Toonz vector levels, I'm gonna hit the B key, is I am not going for brush sensitivity here. Okay, I'm going for pragmatic, clean ink lines. So for that reason, you'll notice I've got the smoothing and the accuracy set at about a third or so, but I'm not using pressure, and I've got the min and the max on the brush set to 1. So this is going to be strictly a simple ink line. Now, having said that, remember, after we draw that ink line, we can always go in later with the tire pump and do things like that. You can always scale your vectors, which is quite nice. I got to look into being able to use a hotkey though to change the size. I really should have done that by now, but I'm curious if that's possible. So it's cool that we can do that, but I'm not going to deal with that now. So I'm going to just hit the S key to select that. And so, Oscar, to live and be totally creative is I want to just pump out comics and animation until something pops. Yeah, man. I love it. I think it's great. It's exactly what you should do. Alright, so B key. Now the only problem we're going to have here is that because of the scale of this drawing, let me check something. I'm wondering if we were to just size this whole thing up, I wonder if the ink lines would look, right now the ink lines feel a little thick. So let's just go here and hit the A key and scale it up. Yeah. Let's just scale it up. I need hotkeys for that too. Okay, let's try that and see if that's like workable. Okay, I'm gonna grab the S key, and I don't have to preserve this, but it's kind of, there's still so much learning going on that it's like, okay, I'll just try seeing if I can just scale it up and rock and roll that way. So this, normally with a Toonz vector level, yeah, okay, so right here you see that's 2.43. I'm just going to set that to 1, and yeah, that's way better. Okay, Oscar, where are you from? Are you in the United States? You told me you're the one who's near Chicago, right? Isn't that right? Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me. No, Dave, don't you pay attention? I'm from Russia or whatever. It seems like you said you were from Chicago, but the reason I was a little uncertain is basically because of the spelling of your name. Because EP. What's EP? I don't know what EP is. So OCSIR is such an unusual spelling that it made me think maybe you're, like Russian or something from the Eastern Bloc countries. Autosave is working, baby. Okay, one thing I'm seeing here that I want to be tweaking. Yep. Okay. So yeah, you're not too horribly far from here. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Okay, I want my accuracy to be a little less. Smoothing's probably okay. Okay, so that's not going to be very editable. So I better make sure it's pretty close to what I'm going to want. Briscoe. Oh, I see. Oh, got it. So your first name isn't really Oscar. Well, you don't have to tell me what it is if you don't want. That's cool. We want to respect people's privacy on YouTube, right? Amar. Okay, so Amar Risco. What's your ethnicity? Like what's your background? Amar Rama Briscoe. I have no idea what language or nationality that name would be affiliated with. So like I said, if you want to reveal, that would be totally peachy, and if not, we're all cool with that too. I am black. Oh, okay. Okay. Nothing wrong with being black. We like them all colors here. I swear. I'm happy to say I don't have a racist bone in my body. That's one thing I like about our neighborhood. Well, if you like, if ethnicity means anything when it comes to artistry, which I don't think it does, but if it did, one of my friends is also black, who is a comic book artist, pretty successful. Maybe you've heard of him. His name's Kanan White. Ever heard of Kanan White? He did a comic book called Uber, and which is sort of a reimagining of some World War II related stuff. But yeah, Kanan is. This is actually really indicative of his style. Really good. Yeah. This is what he does. And he's done some work for Marvel, and he's a good guy, sweet guy. But yeah, he's He's also here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Oh, sorry. Alright. Yeah, it's all coming out about the same width, it seems to me. Now that concerns me. That definitely concerns me. Because there's no way it should have been that large. So I'm going to go back to... See, the thing that's kept me away from Toonz vector levels before this is the fact that when you draw them, you'll get little blobs on the end of the lines where it's wider than it's supposed to be. I'm not going to even try to demonstrate that now, but it's problematic enough to be like, it led me to badmouth Toonz vector levels. Let's put it that way. So. I mean, we're probably going to have to redo these lines, actually. Hey, Loris. What bothers me about Opentoonz, the interpolation of that vector level. If you draw a squiggly line, it kind of flattens for you. Well, yeah, that's true, but that's desirable. If you turn the accuracy up and the smoothing down, then you get what you get. Now, you can see it fattens up a little bit there. Because of the way it deals with what are ostensibly one pixel wide lines, but actually it will follow you quite accurately if you set it to do so. Okay, but normally I want the accuracy low, and I don't know, I put them both at about 1/3, and it seems to get a result that I like. So I'm in a really different mindset when I'm inking. When I'm inking, it's all about I'm tracing lines. I'm not trying to be too artistic. Right. Well, the other thing is, look at here. I'm okay with these lines. I know, for me, this is a little fatter than I want. But wait a second. If we hit the S key and you go like this, you can tweak this out. So I can make this 0.6, let's say. Darn it, you got to keep your mouse over it. 0.6. Let's just make that 0.6. Okay. See how thin that is now? Looky there. Watch this. See? If you want a really thin line with the vectors, you can have it. Okay? But when I'm first doing the inking, I'm not worried about that. I'm just trying to get the lines down. Okay? Now, I could totally see why somebody would say that's a little bit of a wacky way to work, but it is what it is. So, yeah, and this is the thing about Opentoonz, is everything you think, this is what I've been learning, is everything you think is kind of stupid about it, you always find out there's a way that it either makes sense or the problems are overcomable. Is that a word? Overcomable? So some programs, I'm not mentioning Krita, but have you tried drawing in raster or Toonz raster then convert to vector? Yeah, I have. In fact, somebody showed me the other day that if you go like this and see how these overlap like that, so if you're not super careful, if you take this, okay, now if I go like this, you see that's one line. But if I take this and I literally just cut and paste it into a Toonz raster level, then cut and paste it back, it regenerates the vectors so that these little tips here are separate vectors and you can just delete them. But what I'm finding is I don't really need that because of the snapping feature, right? The snapping makes it so that, let's turn the smoothing up. So we go like this, and here's another thing you want to talk about. You want to talk about something that you don't expect but is super cool. I'll show you. Toonz finishes the line for you. intelligently, okay? You don't get this in Krita. You don't get this anywhere else that I've played with. Like, see that? Now, when I lift my pen up, it's going to finish the line for me. So the smooth outline will go to where you want it to go. The only other place I've seen that is in the UV editor in Blender. The UV editor smoothing function, if I remember correctly, will finish your lines out for you. So to me, that's a great feature. I love that it does that. All right, so let's just go ahead and I want to be accurate here with my lines. So yeah, like I said, with the snapping, I mean, I don't even use the tape tool. If I have a little gap like this, I just use the snapping in the brush for that. And another thing about the brush is if you draw a line but hit shift, you get this. Slick, huh? So now if you use the snapping, autosave's going on. So if you use the snapping to connect your lines, then you essentially get the ability to build up with polylines. Yeah, Kanan's, his inking is very good. And then you can hit the C key to tweak, right? Look at that. So for all the criticizing I've done of Toonz vector levels in the past, I know I've been a little too enthusiastic to criticize, but in point of fact, it's pretty cool. Now I'm going to hit something someone else showed me the other day, which is the tilde key, which allows me to go full screen, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, B key. So I'm just going to get a nice smooth line, and it snaps. Nice smooth line. No, if there's any expression in the eyes, they're probably going to be animated on a different layer anyway. But anyway, so now what I'm going to do is just grab this, get out of. Okay, so I can make this. Actually, I need to select all these because I really did want these to be 1 pixel. For demonstration purposes, I switched them all to 0.6. But here we go. So let's go 1. And that should just have a little peak here. And Alt-N, I mean not Alt-N, Alt-0. Okay, so now I see a little problem. I'm going to turn this off. So it's not actually doing a good job of getting specific. Okay, sorry, my bad. I'm in the wrong layer here. Getting specific about what vectors I'm messing with. I guess this is because, here's what I probably should do. I should probably select all of these, use the little tire pump here to bring them all down to 0. You can see we can go up, but bring them all down to 0 so they're all the same, and then right here numerically put in 1, and they should all be uniform again. So it's an extra step. Okay, yeah, see, I'm not totally like stoked about the way this looks, to tell you the truth, but we're gonna go with it. I can't believe I got 7 people watching tonight. Okay, so that's not too bad. Let's turn this back on. We're not in preview mode. So now what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna just make this a sequence. So the way I'm gonna do that is, now I'm going to go to this frame and just click so it creates a new keyframe for me. And now I'm going to hit the A key and take my guide, and I probably should, let's see, I probably should onion skin this so I can see. That's an interesting problem right there. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to try to line this up like so, and then frankly that wants to be eliminated and moved back up there. Okay, why did that? What was I just doing? The onion skinning is, it's as far as I've been able to tell, it's layer specific. There may be a way around it. If I know Opentoonz, there probably is a way around it, but as near as I've been able to tell, if I'm moving this layer around, I can't see the onion skin from this layer. So in order to solve that, I took the previous drawing and just extended it down so that it was underneath frame 2. So now that that's done, I can go back to here and turn the onion skin back off, and now I can trace this. I still want to sort of be careful with my eyes because I've been looking at screens a lot. Okay, so now let's just rock and roll. Rock and roll, baby. Isn't it cool to just like be able to draw and animate and just do fun stuff? God been very, very good to me. I think that was one of the dudes on Saturday Night Live, I remember, said that. I can't remember the guy's name. Black guy. This was before the time of Eddie Murphy. This was early in Saturday Night Live. Probably a lot of you guys aren't old enough to remember it, but this guy, he played a professional baseball player, and he always said, "Baseball been very, very good to me." Something along those lines. This I don't like. I'm going to hit the S key. Let's get rid of that. In fact, you know what we're going to do? We're going to, oops, sorry. We're going to clean that up. And then we're going to go hit the B key, use our snapping. Okay, hold on. What just happened? I'm sorry, my bad. I think I'm in the wrong frame. Okay, now I'm going to hit the shift key so I get that gorgeous straight line. I really like that. I mean, I've always been big on polylines because then you can go in here with the C key and just tweak it a little bit, right? And then which has a lot of economy to it. So you wind up with very, very simple lines without a lot of nodes. And of course, you could always do a polyline too. So G key, a grease pencil. And the whole idea is just go ahead and get the thing blocked in with a polyline, and then just massage it to taste, like so. Right? Give it a little life, a little variety. Okay, guess Garrett Morris. Yes, that was the guy. That was the guy. He always had a little bit of an overbite. Reminded me of Freddie Mercury, actually, if you can believe that, because Freddie Mercury had an incredible overbite. In fact, I remember this. You'd remember this, Oscar, because you're the right age. I remember when Queen was the band on Saturday Night Live. This would have been about 1982, 83. And I remember Freddie Mercury, they were doing like crazy little thing called Love. And he's like, "Oh, this thing I call love, I can't handle it." And the guy's overbite is like a mile out there, man. And I'm like, geez, I never realized. But I'll tell you what, that guy, he could sing. He had a good voice. I mean, I wasn't always like a major, huge Queen fan, but I definitely liked him. And for a while there, when I was in high school, I was into him. Okay, guys, whoever's out there, what music are you into? I won't tell you what I'm into, but I'm curious. What kind of music? That movie. Oh yeah. I saw something about that. Bohemian Rhapsody or something, I think it's called. Yep. Yeah, I think there's a movie called Bohemian. I just saw something about that on, I don't know, maybe Facebook or something. Yesterday? Very, very recently I saw something about that. And so that's what caused me to quit the band that I was in, because it was just one thing too many, right? So I was singing lead and playing lead guitar actually in a band. But I've been doing the studio thing since 1988, you know. In fact, when I got a job, in fact, I'm going to tell you this. I'll show you my one guy that is a mentor of mine. Let's see here. It's probably premiercompanies.com. Let's find out. Yeah, so this site is for premiercompanies.com, and Premier Companies was performed by my mentor, and he's in Nashville, and he was he hired me. I was just out of college, and I go in, and I had a few kind of demo-y sort of things. Interviewed with this guy for like 20 minutes or something. He's like, all right, yeah, if you want to work, you can have a job. There's the studio. there's the audio room. Go make money kind of thing. And at first, I didn't make money unless there were sessions. So if people came into the studio and recorded, I got paid. And but it was an interesting time because digital sampling was a new thing at that point. Now I'm actually going to leave that line off of there. I don't know how long her hair is supposed to be in the back. Man, I remember doing all-night sessions. Doug Decker was playing piano. Doug Decker's a guy, I don't know where he is now, but back then he was a popular keyboard player, really good with blues piano. See, that's not going to fly at all. I'm going to leave that off. I think I'm just going to leave the pupils off. But Doug was a phenomenal piano player, and one time they were getting ready to go do a gig on a cruise liner in Japan, right? And so they want to have an album to sell to the people, on the ship that might want to buy an album. So we wind up, okay, that looks stupid. We wind up literally kind of line that up like that, and then I can go here and just click the B key, and now we're into frame 3. So the cool thing about doing it this way is it's kind of, it's going to give me a turnaround here, right? So anyway, which is exactly what I had to do in the animation I was working on, because Akari rolled over in bed, and trying to make that look 30 years later, I did start my vocal lesson back when I was 19. 30 years later, I would probably be on the road touring right now. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough life. That's a tough life. That's why I don't do it. It's fun. That's why I'm doing jingles, because, if I want to get my musical jollies, I can go sell a jingle, and then, I play all the parts, play the guitar, play the keyboard, play the drums, yada yada. Usually sing all the vocal parts too, although actually on the last jingle I did, that I played over my live stream the other day, actually Valerie sang harmonies on that one, which was great. So it's way more frankly lucrative and way less work. You wouldn't think somebody who's doing animation would be lazy, right? Well, I'm lazy. What is it that makes you, why am I going to come and see you and not go to like Best Buy or Office Depot or whatever? She said, well, the people that buy from us, they really know us. We've been around for a long time, and so there's kind of that local thing. And that really is a thing. I said, okay, I can understand that. But you deliver, right? She said, yeah, yep. You call us and you need some office supplies. We're going to have it to you the next day, no problem, kind of thing. So I thought, how do we capture this idea that they are local, they're right here, and they're familiar, and yet also that they're classy and professional and get the job done, kind of thing. So then what I came up with, I literally pondered this for like 10 minutes. And what came to me was, first I thought Progressive Office Products delivers. I thought, okay, that's good, because that's a double meaning. They physically deliver to you, and when it comes to, you know, reliable service and all the rest, you know, they deliver, right? And then I pondered it a little more, and what came to me, I got to remember it now. I gotta think what I came up with now. I can't remember. Was oh, smaller is better when the service is bigger. Progressive Office Products delivers. You know, so smaller is better when the service is bigger. Progressive Office Products delivers. Something along those lines. And so I'm like, I call her up and I'm like, I think I got the idea for you. Okay, she says. I said, and I told her this idea, and she just goes dead silent. Dead silent. And then she goes, that's pretty good. Now when the client goes dead silent because they don't know what to say, and then they say, well, that's not bad or whatever, you know they love it. They're not going to show it, but she couldn't believe that I, only just heard about her company the day before, and just talked to her briefly, and then put my thinking cap on and came up with this slogan that they're probably going to wind up wanting to use in all their ads, print ads or whatever. But so that ability to come up with a hook or a concept quickly is one of the reasons why jingles are a good fit for me, It's hard to think of a channel. Well, Oscar, you know what? Let me tell you something. My channel is not unique. I don't think too hard. If you want to do it, do it, and if you don't want to do it, don't do it. It's totally up to you. I'm late to the game. When it comes to oops, that's not what I wanted to do. When it comes to YouTube, I'm as late to the game as anybody. This channel, I called it Blended Planet because I called the website is blendedplanet.com, but and that's where you find like my movies and this and that and the other. But when it started out, the reason I called the website Blended Planet, this is going back 20 years. I called it Blended Planet because I was trying to come up with something about Blender. Okay? Because I was the first guy in the world to create Blender training videos. This was back in 99 or 2000. I did the Blender Modeling 101, Modeling 102, and I can't remember what the third one was called. But yeah, I was the first guy to create Blender training videos. And then if you look in the archives and find the Blender tutorial guide that was published by the Blender guys in the Netherlands, Blender Tutorial Guide Volume 2, I was part of the team of 4 guys that wrote that book, and it was I think I wrote 4 chapters. So every chapter was like a tutorial kind of thing. But that was before Blender that was before they got a little too big for their britches and decided to get venture capitalists involved, that's a whole story all of its own. But I have a YouTube video out there where I talked about that, because I went to SIGGRAPH in, gosh, what would it have been? I think it was 2000. But I remember going to SIGGRAPH and meeting one of the venture capitalists, and I was not real impressed or optimistic about the fate of Blender at that point. And it's one of the few times in life I've turned out to be right, because they were bankrupt in a year. But you know what? The great thing is that was good. That was the best thing that could have happened to Blender. So being an open source program has its own pitfalls, you know. But yeah, saw the found. Oh, Ray Dream, I remember that. Oh yeah, I was using Lightwave. Of course, I was using a crack of Lightwave, but I did buy Ray Dream, and Ray Dream, in its own way, it was a good program. Very, very unique. I got to be careful here. If I blab too much, I'm gonna draw this wrong. Whoops. No, I actually liked Ray Dream quite a bit. But the killer feature for me would have been, oh, put it this way. I spent $3,500 easily, at least $3,500 on 3D Studio Max 2 with Character Studio. I hardly ever used it. I mean, it's a complete waste. And by comparison, about the same period of time, well, no, a year later, actually. A year later, I discovered Blender. And as ugly as people thought the interface was, for me, it kind of clicked. I liked the Blender interface because I could tell that, like Ton said, or Ton, it was written by people that were actually using the software. That's the difference I see with Opentoonz, is that Opentoonz seems to have a backbone to it of people, the software developers, and I'm not referring to the open source developers because I don't really know too much about that for Opentoonz, but it seems like this was designed by people that wanted to actually use it, as opposed to some marketing group that's trying to add features that they think the end user will want. By contrast, there's a number of things that I've noticed in Krita where I'm thinking, I can't believe the developers have ever actually used the program, because, and they have to. I mean, it's an open source program too, and I know those guys love it and are passionate about it. But there's just too much stuff that feels kind of half finished for me. Yeah, if I didn't have alternatives, I'd probably keep trying to work with it, but I don't know. At this point, I'm kind of like, I'll use Krita when it's absolutely necessary, but for the most part, I'd rather just work in Opentoonz, actually. Softimage, yeah, man, I had a crack of Softimage too back then. Back in the 2000 range. And Softimage was, you know, that's what they used to create Beast Wars and Reboot. So it has a definite pedigree in character animation. It kicked the snot out of 3D Studio Max when it came to character animation. I still don't really have much use for 3D Studio Max. I mean, there's things about its design that I do like. The object-oriented plug-in architecture and stuff is pretty cool. But basically, just never found myself getting much work done with it. Blender, on the other hand, I've actually been able to get a lot of work done. The last few years, mostly special effects work. Like a shot here and a shot there in one of my movies where I need to either do some motion tracking, or the movie Out of Time has a lot of virtual backgrounds and stuff. Yeah, Blizzard. Blizzard was, yeah, now I tell you what. I actually bought at least three versions of Animation Master. And it's kind of sad, but their licensing model, okay, Hash, I'm just going to say it, Hash is basically a stupid company. Those guys were really, really stupid. They treated their customers terribly, and they routinely would tell you that this or that new version of the program, you know, it isn't going to blow up every 5 seconds. You know, this version's going to be the one that's really good. This version's going to be the one that works. And then it would be just as buggy and difficult as the version before. And that happened multiple times. But guess what? Looky here. Look at this. Can you believe this? Can you believe I'm even doing this? Look at this. What is this? This is, you guessed it, folks. This is still on my machine. Hash Animation Master. Look at this. Let's go to the render mode. I never, ever, ever use it. Wait, why is that not shaded? Render mode. Shaded in wireframe. That's supposed to be shaded right now. I can't remember the hotkeys or anything, but yeah, there it is. This is version about, and it's a crack. Animation Master 2005. It's a crack. I paid for 3 different versions of that software, and every single one of them sucked. It was so buggy and annoying to use, and the only version that was ever worth anything was the one that Raf Anzovin used and demonstrated. I think it was 2000 or 2001. It was before they changed to the new and better interface that was just as buggy and annoying and way worse than the one before. But yeah, up till about 2000, it really was a pretty cool program. And once that version that you just saw, once they came out with the new improved interface that wasn't going to be so sucky, I was done. And about that time, Blender had come along. And the character animation tools were pretty weak in Blender at that point, if the truth be known as well. But it was what was available, you know. So, alright, so now I'm going to go back here, hit the A key. And so my hope is that I'll be able to take this I'll be able to take this level and theoretically could bring it into another yeah, I know, and you know, there's things about it that were so ahead of its time. I mean, you could go into Animation Master and just drag an image into the interface and project it onto your geometry. I still keep a copy of it around because I'm thinking one of these days maybe there will be a reason to go ahead and use it for something. But so far, not so much. Not so much. So if I was going to do 3D character animation right now, I would definitely be favoring Blender. Blender is the bomb. And plus, Ton Rosendahl, he's like one of my favorite guys. I really like Ton. He's just got a great attitude. He's kind of like Linus Torvalds in the sense that he's pragmatic enough to do what's best, even when there's a lot of voices from a lot of different directions telling him to do different. I don't know if that makes sense, but I know what I mean. Blender's my program for life right now, yeah. Well, as I like to say, you know, the grease pencil is definitely a great tool. I love it, but I cannot trust it to the kind of work I'm trying to do right now. What I'm trying to do right now is it's too demanding, and we needed a professional tool. So, I mean, I've got a crack of Toon Boom because I'm like, you know, I'll try it. If I like it, I'll happily pay for it. It's not very expensive. Well, like I said, I spent $3,000 on 3D Studio Max. So Toon Boom I've tried. TV Paint. I keep trying TV Paint. I keep going back to it and going, well, maybe. Nope. It's just got a funny way of working that just doesn't quite work for me. And I don't think I'm not probably typical. You know, I'm a little different when it comes to software because I've written so much myself. You know, I've done a lot of C++ programming, Pascal. You know, back in the day it was Visual Basic. Now, of course, it's JavaScript. And I actually, literally just today, I'll show you what I did today. I'll show you something here, if I can. I'll actually go to localhost and go to my sandbox, and I believe it was where the heck? Oh, right here, flipbook. Let's see if this works. Yeah, I actually created an animation previewer in JavaScript just today using I adapted some code from a jQuery plugin that basically does image flipping. I thought, okay, well maybe, you know, and the reason some of those are colored stupid is because I was quickly, you know, in GIMP I was coloring them just to see if it refreshed instantly or you had to refresh the page and this sort of thing. But they're accepting applications for their conference. Check out the Manuel Bastoni and custom posable characters. If I was doing 3D, I probably would. I mean, I'm thinking about, like, what I'm doing right now. If I had created this character in 3D so I could just turn it around and use it as a basis to draw over top of, that's completely a valid approach. No question. That's totally a valid approach. That has merit. It's just not what I want to do right now. Right now I'm having a love fest with Opentoonz because every time I think it should work a certain way, it seems like it does. It doesn't keep letting me down. It's like I said, you can feel the mindset of the programmers behind the software. You can tell kind of how they rolled. I don't know if that makes sense, but okay, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to click here and then click here, connect that, and then use the C key to expand that out. So now we need to connect this. Right, that's exactly. The problem I had with the plugin, actually, full disclosure here, Oscar, is that the for some reason I was not getting the PHP part of the code. So in other words, you could hard code an image sequence, or you could have it interrogate through PHP with Ajax. It would interrogate a folder that you specified, and then if there were any images in that folder, it would just generate the playlist for you automatically. Now for me, that's not that useful because in many circumstances you would want some of the images to not play for just a single frame. So I really wasn't looking for something that was just a playlist manager. I was looking for something that would allow me to go in, and I knew I'd have to roll my own code for this, but the idea would be I want to go in and specify which images, how long each image plays. So it might play for 48 frames, you know, so it plays for 2 seconds kind of thing. So I'm actually going to go to a polyline here. I'm kind of doing this the stupid way for no good reason. Okay, that's cool. So I don't know if I'll do much more with that. What am I looking for here? The C key? Yeah. With that little jQuery plugin. Okay, alright, so manuelbastoni.com. Alright, cool, man. Control C. Oh, sorry, my bad. I've been sitting here drawing away and forcing you to look at for another day. So, but yeah, it definitely looks like an interesting plugin or add-on. So let's put the shoulder Yeah, let's just do it like that. Hit the B key. Alright, let's do it as a polyline. Alright, and then hit the C key and just adjust. I mean, you know, that looks good. Zoom in, and I'm gonna save my work just in case this goes bad. But I'm flipping the canvas. It's just been my experience that Opentoonz can be a little more crash prone when you are working with a flipped canvas. But I definitely like the snapping with the Toonz vector levels. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, what I'm doing tonight is, oh man, I should have my sunglasses on. I just felt a little kind of a twink in my eye. I want to be careful. But yeah, this is just an exercise, really. It's hopefully will be reusable elsewhere, but anytime you're drawing, you're learning, and that's a good thing. Come on. Come on. Okay. Something's very wrong right now. Everything's frozen up. Ah! Opentoonz blew up. Okay, what did I tell you? You flip the canvas. Flip the canvas, Opentoonz blows up. So, back to, for some reason it put the update window on, or yeah, the update window on a different screen. That's definitely questionable. And why? That's interesting. Why is it not scaled properly? Pretty weird. Pretty weird. I have no idea. Not gonna cry about it. Something like that. Nope, don't want that. Aw, shoot. Making sure you have the right level selected is so important with Opentoonz. Okay, so, oh yeah, turn the onion skin back off again. And now we're kind of sort of back to where we started. So, save early, save often, as I like to say. Yeah. Amen, brother. Amen. That is so true. Okay. So now I'm hitting the B key. For some reason it didn't seem to be taking. I can't see the chat stuff when the schematic window is open. Okay, so I actually should be in full screen mode so I can see what the heck I'm doing. Yeah. Once I get this done, I'm gonna regret those pigtails. I am gonna regret those pigtails. Having to animate those 50 billion times is gonna get very old, I'm quite sure. But whatever it takes to make the animation or the anime Awesome. Right? Whatever it takes. Getting there, folks. We're getting there. Any new, use a hair rig. What do you mean by a hair rig? Like a pre-baked drawing of some hair? I don't know what a hair rig is. I feel like such a fool. Whew. Oh yeah. For the pigtails. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Absolutely. What I should do, you're completely right, man. I have to say, you are spot on correct. That's what I was saying earlier about the plastic tool. It's just so cool how you can set up a rig. Really, there's one catch. All right, so let's see what the catch is. All right, let's go tilde. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm gonna try to save myself some grief here by making a duplicate of this. All right, and then what I'm gonna do is delete this and drag this duplicate in here. Because what I'm actually gonna do here, just for the living fun of it, I guess I'm gonna have to zoom out so I can see the whole thing. Or what I could do is hit the tilde key again, and now I should be able to cut these guys, and I can clean them up afterwards. But let's cut that, and let's go here, paste them in, and let's go here, same thing again. And I'm not going to do the whole pigtail. I'm just going to grab a piece of it. But this is, I'm glad you said this, Oscar, because this is a great example of what is super cool about Opentoonz. Let's see here. What did I get? I didn't get the whole thing. Let's try that again. Okay. We're still not getting the whole thing. Oh, I know. We probably have to get the top of it. So I'm going to hit cut. Bones over here, and let's paste that in. Will that work? Yeah, that worked. Okay, so now this isn't perfect in the sense that obviously there's some patching up that needs to take place. But if you were going to do this and you wanted to rig up these pigtails, here's how you do it. Okay, step one is turn this level into a sub-X sheet. Okay, that's really important, because now let me check something here. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to turn this off, and yeah, that's correct. So only frame 7 has the pigtails. So okay, I turn it into a sub-X sheet because what you want to do is you want to go in here, and now if I use the plastic tool on this, I'm going to hit the X key and create the mesh. Look at what happens. See that? It's only going to put the mesh around the lines. It's not going to let me grab the whole volume. So the way you solve that is you just grab another level, okay? And I'll do it the simplest way possible, which would be to draw a rectangle. So let's go into the geometry. Actually, I definitely need to create another level because my default levels are raster. So we're going to go in here and create another Toonz vector level. Boom. Okay. And now let's create a rectangle just like that, and let's fill it just like that. Okay, so now we can go up out of here and hit the X key to create a mesh. And now what the plastic tool is going to do is create a mesh around that whole area. Okay? So I'm going to make it a lot coarser just so it performs better. Okay. So now I go back down into this sub-X sheet and just kill that level so we can't see it. back up and out. Now we can go ahead and draw our bones around just these areas, and it should kind of sort of work as we would expect. So to build the skeleton, I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to go, and I'm going to do this actually as a chain. If anybody out there knows how to actually set up IK, because I don't even know if you can. I don't know if you can do IK in Opentoonz. But that's how I would do that, I'm thinking. Okay, so now I'm going to stretch this down, and stretch this last pose down. Okay. Now, in a perfect world, what I really would have done is put the plastic tool on the whole head so that you can animate the whole thing, but that's okay. So now, for our purposes, we're going to say, let's animate our pigtails. Okay, so because it's on a separate level, and I'm going to turn off keep distance. Alright, I better save my work. Okay, it just saved it for me. Good. Otherwise, you're going to have things crashing and smashing. Alright, so we're going to pretend that she moved her head, because I didn't really make this rig as complex as I should have in order to do what I'm really trying to do. Right? So we'll pretend that Akari moved her head. Okay. So now what we're going to do is go in to the sub-X sheet, and again, save early, save often, down into the sub-X sheet, and what I'm going to do is once, I don't know if this will work. Actually, I'm going to hit the B key. I guess it will. Okay. So I can go ahead and just do this to close this off. Close this off. Hit the eraser to get rid of that erroneous. Yep. Okay, and so now let's just pretend that, where's the, I guess I got to click on the edge. So we're going to give her kind of pink hair. What the heck? Let's see if that will fill. Okay, that doesn't want to fill. That doesn't want to fill either. We're in normal mode, trying to fill areas, so that means we got to zoom in, find out what the heck's going on. Okay, let's try this. Since this is the vector tool, I'm going to take the minimum gap and put it all the way to the top. Yep, there we go. Cool. So it forgives the gap. All right, now up and out, and obviously because the resolution of this mesh is what it is. This is not quite as beautiful as it could have been, but as you can see, you know, forgiving this little stupid part right here, you can see that creating those pigtails as a plastic tool rig in a separate column is pretty simple. So anyway, not the most gorgeous example ever, but in terms of how to do it, it's pretty cool, because it's brain dead in Opentoonz to then do things like, for example, if I was going to, I could go into the schematic, and I'll switch to this screen. I could go into the schematic and actually take the column that has her face and make it a child of the column that has the pigtails. Or actually, I would do it the opposite, so that if her head moves, the whole pigtail rig would go with her. Let's see if that can be done. Let's just have some fun here, since I'm getting close to the end here. Do we want FX? We don't want FX. What we want to do is we want to take column 2 and say that's our master, and then we want to take column 3, which is the sub-X sheet. I think if we do that, let's see what that does. Okay. I'm really going on a limb here. So now if I hit the A key, and let's take the center, put it here where her neck is, so to speak, and then let's see if this works. I don't even know if this is going to work. Oh, wrong level. Or is it? No, I actually did this correctly. I did this correctly. See? See, now I can rotate her head, and obviously that's not rigged properly, but you get the idea. Okay, sorry, I'm on the wrong screen. So you can see what's going on. When I rotate her, obviously you would want her head to be separated from her body if you're doing like puppet animation. But the point is, you can do a little animation like that, and the whole pigtail animation follows the head. Now that's what I like about Opentoonz, is you sort of think to yourself, this is how it should work, and then it does, you know, which is cool. So anyway, I think with that, Oscar, I'm going to hit the road. I've been going for a long time, hour and a half, and I'm ready for a break. So I think with that, I am going to say nighty-night, and until next time.